Hi there, my name is Misha Fligger. I am part of the WEA bargaining team, and I'm also a social studies teacher at Success. I'm here just addressing the letter that was sent out to staff last Friday. Just so you know, I'm currently recording this at French Prairie during one of WEA's work sessions in preparation for mediation. So if there are some sounds or interruptions, you'll know why. So I first want to address the language regarding the term good faith bargaining. So, good faith bargaining is a term used basically, is legally defined as the willingness of both parties to meet at an agreed upon time, places, and place in order to discuss issues which are proper subjects of bargaining with the intent of reaching an agreement. That is the most important part there, that both sides want to reach an agreement, they want to reach a compromise that is amenable to both sides. The issue is that's not what we've seen on behalf of WSD. The issue is that as we come to WSD with issues facing the district, issues like pay, issues like workload, issues like the dual language program, which is not being properly supported, and trying to come up with solutions to basically ameliorate them, the school board, WSD is essentially saying no to all of our suggestions and then not giving any suggestions of their own. Could see a really good example of that in their um, how they returned the dual language article. Many of you are aware of the dual language article, a dual language program here at Woodburn School District. It's a flagship program, nationally recognized. We're very famous for it, and it really has a wonderful benefits for our community and for our students. Right, the outcomes for English language learners or is phenomenal, and they become very proficient in both their mother language as well as English. So we felt as WEA that we would want to basically enshrine it and protect it in our contract. And this isn't unusual. Portland Association of Teachers has language in their CBA, basically providing money and curriculum. It guarantees curriculum and proper pay for their dual language teachers. So we sent them all of this language, and they returned to us crossed out, and basically without anything in return, really no suggestions. They basically, the only thing they gave to us was a resolution from the school board saying we're going to continue to support the dual language program, and it's not enforceable. The resolution is not enforceable. Well, our contract is. If we feel like the school district is not doing enough to support the dual language program, if we have it in our CBA, the dual language education, we can grieve it, and there can be accountability, right? Which there hasn't been, because people have been saying for years now, well, the dual language program is not where it used to be, and students are suffering. So this is, you're probably wondering why. Why would the district not try to compromise? Why wouldn't they try to work with us on things? Well, it's because this is a very common tactic used by management. Okay, recent example is Starbucks. Starbucks recently was facing a series of unionization efforts at multiple locations across the United States, and some actually succeeded. Um, so during the initial bargaining between these newly formed unions and the management would do the sort of delaying and basically non-compromising attitude where they would show up to bargaining and just basically refuse to bargain. They would just sit there and say no to everything. Why would they do this? Well, it's a really effective tool, right? Delay is an effective tool used by employers in first contract bargaining, because the longer negotiations drag on, the more turnover, fear, and frustration will work to undermine union support. This isn't unique to first contract bargainings, right? This is a very common tactic used across all union CBA bargains, right? This is very common. They'll just say no to everything in hopes that the union will wear itself down over time. And we see this across not just in our district, but in Silver Falls, who also coincidentally they hire the same law firm basically to advise their district, right? The Hungerford law firm. They have the exact same law firm, and so they're using the same tactics. And in fact, their staff just received, and actually parents too of students just received an email that was very similar to the email that was sent out by WSD last Friday. So we can see the same tactics emerging, right? And the purpose of these tactics is basically just to wear us down, to try to get us to give in and to stop fighting. Okay, so the reason that this is another reason why this is an effective tactic is because there's really no punishment for this kind of tactic. It's at worst, it's a National Labor Relations Board slap on the wrist saying, "Hey, you got to bargain in good faith." right? There's no financial repercussions for this, despite the fact that basically it's a very effective anti-union tactic, right? Starbucks has basically just been charged with a National Labor Relations Board um, lawsuit saying that they're bargaining in bad faith. They're okay with that because there's really no consequences to it. All this is drawing out the process and making it harder for the union to win. Okay, so we want to negotiate. We want to compromise. We're not trying to be unreasonable here. We see issues in our district, and we simply want them to be addressed. And we would like to see the districts come together with us on these issues and try to negotiate a proper and a fair contract instead of this crossing out, right? And this isn't unique to this document. We've seen it across other documents too, right? If you follow the CBA tracker, if you follow bargaining, you can see the progression, right, of the district simply crossing out all language and really refusing to negotiate. So when district says that we're bargaining in bad faith, we think that it's a little bit, well, disingenuous, to be fair. Let's talk about other details that were covered in the email. Cost. Cost. The first thing we would like to say, talk in regards to cost, is that the claims that we're being unreasonable, that we refuse to cost out our proposals, and we want to say emphatically that that's a misrepresentation. We've asked multiple times for them to explain to us how they come up with the cost that they presented to us. A case in point is the cost for each individual teacher that on behalf of the district. How much does it cost the district yearly per educator, per teacher? The initial number we got was about 138,000. And so we asked them to break that down for us. And the next number we got was 120,000. And again, we asked them to break that down for us. Finally, last Saturday, we got the full breakdown and it was down to 109. So to us, it's very difficult to really cost things out when we keep getting different numbers from the district in regards to actual costing. So that's why, again, we felt like it was disingenuous that the district said, well, we refuse to cost our proposals. The reason is because it's very difficult for us to cost those proposals. They have the information and they're giving it to us, and we ask them to essentially explain those numbers, right? It keeps the goalpost keeps sliding. Okay. And so we would like, the district, it's all about transparency. We want to understand how they come to these numbers, right? And we want to be able to work within the parameters set by the financial reality of the district's budget. So to that end, to that point, right, we want to bring up the district's end fund balance, right? This is the amount of money the district ends the school year with, right? This is money that is left over, essentially, that they haven't spent, right? And that's basically that rolls over into the next year. So if we see here, right, the district tells us right here that according to their budget for the last 3 or 4 years, essentially, last 4 years since 2017, 2018 school year, right? They've had anywhere from 16 million left over in their budget to 12 million left over in their budget. And they say right here that basically their policy is to maintain a balance of between 5 to 10% of the total adopted budget, as basically, right, to have a reserve of that much. So that's the reserve is their ending fund balance, right? So 5 to 10%. Well, their budget is about 80 million. So their end fund balance, right, the reserve, is anywhere from 2 to 3 times the recommended end fund balance, right? So there's some wiggle room. Assuming that the district is trying to maintain an end fund maximum, recommended end fund balance with a budget of about 88 million, they should have about $8 million left over. Well, in this last fiscal year, in this last budget year, the district had an end fund balance of, let me find my numbers, give me a second. They started the year with 14 million and their budget was 83 million. So that means that there's about 6 million minimum of wiggle room. If we assume a 5% end fund, right, reserve, right, that would be closer to 4 million. So that leaves us 10 million of wiggle room. So there's a lot of money, right, that we could basically utilize to address some of these issues. So we're not trying to be unreasonable. We understand that there's a limit of money that we can function in, but we're struggling with the numbers that are being given to us, and we're also struggling with the fact that it's very hard to take seriously claims of poverty on behalf of the district when we have these kind of numbers floating around. I want to sort of discuss quickly the dual language piece real quick. Again, it wasn't mentioned in the letter sent out by the district. And we think that's, it's a really big part of our community. We think it's very important that it is enshrined and that it is advocated for and that it is maintained. Woodburn's a wonderful community full of different cultures that should be celebrated and essentially lifted up and maintained to the best of the ability of the school district. And we feel that the fact that the district didn't even choose to address it in its discussion, in its email, really shows a lot about their mentality regarding the dual language program. They use it as a means to basically bring clout to the district, showing different outside parties how essentially special and unique and worthy of praise the school district is, but then it is not being supported on the ground level. We would like to see a commitment that is basically the equivalent of how the district portrays its dual language program reflected in how much they support they give in the instructors and the teachers who maintain that dual language program by providing ample curriculum and by basically paying for supervisors, people who can administer the program and guide it into flourishing. Uh, so we can also discuss class sizes briefly. Again, there's a lot of hay being made in regards to so a lot of hay being made about how our demands for classroom sizes or how much it would cost. I would simply like to point out that as of 2021, from SB 80, this is legislation passed by the state of Oregon. This is law. It is a mandatory topic of negotiation. We have to negotiate classroom sizes. Okay, we have to include this as part of our bargaining process because we are a Title I district. We are the only Title I district in the entire state of Oregon. So this should be front and center to our bargaining process because it's such an important indicator of student success. It's been a known silver bullet for years, right? Lower classroom sizes generally tends to produce better outcomes for students. And me personally, as a person who works at Success, our classroom sizes tend to be smaller, and we've seen tremendous turnarounds from some of our students. So I can personally advocate the benefits of smaller classroom sizes. So we haven't seen any response or meaningful compromise from the district in regards to classroom sizes outside of an unenforceable committee, the committee that basically gives suggestions but doesn't really have any teeth to it. We would like something that any kind of compromise that really enforces some level of equity in the classroom, whether that means a pay differential for teachers who go over a certain classroom limit, similar to the ones they have at Portland Public Schools, or a hard limit on classroom sizes. Again, we know the benefits of classroom sizes being small. The district hasn't offered us really any meaningful solution to this issue. And like this is a mandatory topic. Again, I want to reiterate that. Finally, COLA. Okay, this is a big sticking point. This is the one that our members have really been the most advocating for the most. We are asking for a high COLA because of inflation. Inflation has been rampant for the last 2 years, and we see that it's at 6.8% this year and about 6% last year. So prices have gone up almost 12% at this point. We want to have a pay increase that reflects that. Otherwise, we're taking a pay cut effectively. Right? Our dollars are not going as far as they used to, and that translates into a pay cut. All right. We're asking for a high COLA because we have skills that make us very marketable. Many of our educators are ESOL endorsed. Many of our educators have dual language or speak more than one language. Many of our educators are responsive to multiple cultures. So they can uplift students in those cultures. These are skills that are unique to Woodburn. And actually, in the private sector, would have a pretty high demand and would essentially qualify individuals for high salaries because these are very good skills. So our pay should reflect our unique abilities and our unique abilities and what we bring to the table. I just want to bring to light the district gave a bunch of different examples of local districts or districts across the state that had comparable pay rates, but it was a very specific point in the pay rate, right? Master's degree, 5 years experience, and it showed that we were very competitive, which is true for that specific segment of the salary schedule. However, I would like to point out one a salary schedule for Forest Grove School District. Here we have right basically a $6,000, $7,000 difference for the master level at 5 years, right? 66,000. I'd also like to point out Beaverton School District's pay scale for their next, for this year, what their master's degree, people with masters at 18 years in are earning, right? Almost $100,000, almost $100,000. We are not seeing anything comparable to that, right? For masters, base level masters here at Woodburn, right, it's nearly $25,000 less at that level of the scale, and those are the people we are most at danger of losing. Long-term veteran teachers who are highly qualified, whose services would be better, might potentially better appreciated in places like Beaverton, who also are having flagship dual language programs. These people might go over there after spending many years at Woodburn simply because they say $25,000. My goodness, why wouldn't I? Right? Even if they ending up at this end of the pay scale, right? $82,000, which is not even what Beaverton. This is just the regular masters at 18 years for Beaverton, right? So even if they're at the top of the pay scale for Woodburn, it's still a difference of $17,000, which is substantial. So that is the area of COLA that, of course, if we look at the masters 5 for Beaverton, it's lower than ours. Granted, fair, but again, the majority of our educators don't exist in this area. They exist in this area, the bottom area over here, right? And again, I want to point back to Forest Grove because they have a very similar demographic as here at Woodburn, right? If we see here, almost 60% of their students are Latino. So uh, there should be, and it's a similar sized town as well, about 20,000 people, give or take. So this is a similar sized town, and we see at the level that was shown to us by the district, we see about $5,000 difference in pay rate. So we think that it's reasonable to expect that level of COLA. That's our main point. Finally, our closing thoughts in regards to everything. Again, our strength comes in our unity. We are a union, and all of the wonderful work rights that have been earned throughout the past generations have been earned through with unity and the tool of withholding our labor. If you appreciate weekends, if you appreciate holidays, if you appreciate paid time off, those are all things that have been fought for, right? Including fought for by withholding labor. The district is delaying and they are refusing to compromise because they understand that the more they hold off, the weaker we will be. It's just the experience that management has had in the past when fighting unions. That doesn't have to be the case with us. As long as we maintain our strength, as long as we stay cohesive, and as long as we keep pressuring them, we can get the solutions we need for a strong, upheld, and supported district. The district that our students deserve and the district that we deserve as educators. So we have to not be scared of using the tools that are available to us. The primary one being withholding our labor, a strike. This is a legally protected form of us getting what we want, of negotiating, right? Is protected under the law. It might be difficult to get to that point, and it might be scary to get to that point, but it might be what is required to ensure that our students get the district that they deserve, that our community gets the education that they deserve, and that our teachers are appreciated and retained. As many of you know, we've lost at a minimum 1/4 of our teachers last year who have been replaced. That is entirely detrimental to the longevity of the school district. So to that end, we want to come to an agreement. The district, we want to work together with the district. We just haven't seen that. We want dialogue and compromise, right? We don't want all this delaying and this continuous striking through of language without a proper response. So we deserve a change, and we should demand a change. Too much has been allowed to fall apart for too long. And their district lawyers want us to doubt ourselves and to be scared. And that's how they win. And how we win is with unity, solidarity, and effort. We have to be brave and we have to be willing to do the scary thing potentially. However, we want to embrace any gesture of compromise on behalf of the district. We're totally willing to meet in the middle as long as it supports the needs of our teachers and our students and our community. So to that end, I want to thank everyone for watching this video. I want to thank everyone for supporting the bargaining team in this process. We want to continue to invite the WSD team to continue to compromise with us. And we really look forward to the next few discussions with the hope that something good can come of those discussions and we can finally come to a contract that retains high quality teachers, that supports our students, and continues to allow this community to flourish. So thank you so much. Thanks for watching this video. Solidarity, and hopefully we'll come out on the other side of this with a contract that supports everyone. To that end, have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks again for watching.